Report from Santa Fe is made possible in part by grants from the members of the National Education Association of New Mexico, an organization of professionals who believe that investing in public education is an investment in our state's economic future, and by a grant from the Healy Foundation, Taos, New Mexico.
Hello, I'm Lorene Mills, and welcome to Report from Santa Fe. Our guest today is Dr. Stephen Gamble, the president of Eastern New Mexico University. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Thank you for having me, Lorene.
Well, you've been 16 years the president. You came in the prophetic year of 2001.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And you have guided this extraordinary university through lots of things. I'd love for you to tell me. Well, of course, your background, you have a PhD in American history, and you're vice chair of the Council of University Presidents, and you've been very active in a lot of things. But I'd love for you to tell me first, before we talk about the specifics of Eastern, but how has higher ed changed since in the 16 years since you've been at the helm of Eastern?
That's a good question. It's changed a lot. One is I think it got more in line with positive national trends in terms of assessment and in terms of being accountable. Before, we used to just basically get our money and go out and do the best we could with it. Now we have to account for the money. We have to justify it. And if we can't do that, then rightfully so, the legislature or somewhere along the line, we're going to lose that money. I think it's also changed in terms of the type of student that we've received. I mean, the technology age has hit full scale the students of New Mexico. We've had to become a lot more technologically savvy and provide state-of-the-art technology at a higher level than we ever have before. We've also had to adjust to some fairly harsh times with funding. I was here through 2009, 2011 when we lost a good deal of our funding. And now, again, because of a lot of things that are beyond our control, we're going through that again. So it's been an interesting 16 years, and I think higher ed is stronger in New Mexico right now than it was in 2001. In fact, I'm sure of that.
So you referenced quietly that there have been several periods in your presidency when there's been bad economic times and when all of the state and the universities have suffered, and yet your enrollment, you have record high enrollment. I think it's up 60, 70% in 12 years. Even this very spring, you're up again. I think 20 consecutive years of record enrollments,
yes,
possibly
ma'am.
The only New Mexico school to achieve this.
I think we probably are, but it was a lot of hard work getting it done. We've really gone into more online courses than ever before. In fact, that's another big change from 2001 to 2016 is the arrival of the importance of online education. But we've worked hard to do it. We recruit mainly from rural areas. That's where we get the majority of our students. But we're really happy for those that come from Albuquerque and Santa Fe as well. It's been a lot of work, but it's paid off.
So as I was preparing for this, I received a list of 40 citations, national citations, where you have been in the top of online degrees, of most efficient, low cost and high quality, award after award after award. But I imagine the shift, because now people can get, what kind of online degrees can they get? And some of your MBA programs are rated #1 in the country for your online work.
You can get bachelor's in administration. You can get master's degrees in both business administration and in education and in other fields. It's amazing what can be done online these days, and we've tried to stay current, and we've tried to do the best we can. As for the awards, normally the awards look at cost, and we are inexpensive compared to almost anybody you want to look at. But they also look at quality, and we think we have the combination of those two to really produce a good product, and it's good to be recognized nationally.
So I was asking you earlier how much it is now per semester tuition and fees.
It's approximately $2,850 per semester tuition and fees.
Yeah.
That places us the fourth lowest in the southwestern part of the United States. Now the third lowest is New Mexico Highlands. They've done really a masterful job in maintaining their costs as well. But we don't serve an affluent student body. Over 40% of our students are what are called Pell eligible. That's the lowest rung on the federal government's ladder of ability to pay for college, and 2 out of 5 of our students, almost half actually, are on that rung. So we try to be as affordable as we can because we know who we serve.
In all that affordability, you are, however, making some stunning improvements. And I remember we spoke before, you're doing a lot of improvements and enhancement of the buildings. And rather than tear these beautiful stone and brick buildings down, you are remodeling them. So one of the projects I really want an update on, you have this beautiful library was called the Golden Library. Not that it was made of gold, but it was named after
Floyd Golden, yes, ma'am.
Yes.
President.
But now it's going to become the Golden Student Success Center. And when will it be ready, and what are the changes that you have at the library?
Well, it ought to be ready May or June of 2018, so about roughly a year and a half from now. The changes are that it's first of all going to be still the traditional library. It's going to have all the functions that the library currently has will be in the new Student Success Center. But we're combining that with, as the name says, student success opportunities for the students. We're going to move tutoring. We're going to move a graduate commons. We're going to put a veterans area in there. So we're going, and distance education is another occupant of this new facility. We want it to be a one-stop for students, one-stop shopping really for students that need help, or that really just want to master this area of their education and they need help to do it.
In that library, you have, I call it, really to me, it's the crown jewel of the library, but you have the Jack Williamson Special Collection.
And it is the crown jewel. That is very true.
This was the estate and the library of the famous science fiction pioneering author, Jack Williamson, but it's the third most extensive science fiction library in the country.
Yes, ma'am, it is, and we're very proud of it. And it's going to have a special place in the library. It's going to be an improved location for Jack's papers. We actually have a replica of his, or actually, I think it's the exact furniture that was in his office there as well. It's a very special part of a very special building.
And you've got his Hugo Awards and his Nebula
absolutely.
Awards.
Oh,
and,
yes.
And it is just an extensive collection. What I love is that you have some of the early, because he first wrote for some of the early magazines.
As far back as the 20s, I
Yes, and so you have collections of those early wonderful magazines with
ma'am.
those wonderful early science fiction covers. It's just thrilling.
And we have scholars from around the country come in to use this collection because this is where they can find the primary documents.
And every year in April, you have the Jack Williamson Lectureship,
Yeah, absolutely.
where the leading writers, George Martin and Melinda Snodgrass and Connie Willis, they all come.
Yeah, Connie is the longtime MC.
Yes.
Does a great job.
Yes. But they come, and I invite everyone to look into this and to go because they do panels and workshops on writing and on selling screenplays. And it's a lot of the new forms of film are all kind of a little science fiction bend or fantasy bend, and so there's amazing opportunities. And also the campus is so beautiful then with your beautiful lawns.
Well, we think we have a very, very attractive campus. We're very proud of it. We with the library renovation, it continues our theme of, we call it stewardship through conservation. We know we can get more bang for our buck out of renovation, so we do. We've built one new building since 1990, one new one, but we've renovated a lot. The new one, by the way, is the Broadcast Center, where KENW and our Department of Communication is located.
And this is an amazing educational opportunity. Our home station is KENW, your station at Eastern New Mexico University. We've been on for 45 years.
We're proud of that.
Yes. But when a student gets a degree in broadcast journalism from Eastern, they are trained in everything. There's nothing like it in the state. They end up being able to write, to be a reporter, to be an anchor,
That's
to
very
edit.
true.
They learn everything. So they can really be, in this day and age, a lot of people are hiring kind of a one-man show person who can do all those things. And they get hands-on experience. They have their own newscasts. It's really a wonderful...
Well, being a small university, we tell prospective students, and then we provide this to the students that enroll. They're going to be doing things as sophomores that they might not get to do at a larger institution
Ever.
Throughout their career.
Yeah.
And I love turning on Albuquerque TV or Amarillo TV and see
seeing your people.
a smiling face of a student that is out there, living the dream that he or she had.
Yeah. But you do have one very wonderful new construction. You finally got your football stadium.
Yes, ma'am, we do. It's up and running. It's everything we hoped it would be in terms of the impact on the campus and the community. It was really good to see the people rally behind this project and just, provide the resources to get it done. We're very grateful.
And another one of your athletic crowns is that the ENMU women's basketball team. Tell us how they're doing.
Oh, yes. They're co-champions of the regular season. We're the number one seed going into the playoffs in our conference. We'll just have to see how they do, but no matter how they do, we're proud of them. They're really fine young women, good, well coached. They're just a credit in the classroom and a credit when they play basketball. We're very proud of the team.
Did I read that your athletes have a higher GPA, grade point average, than your regular students?
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
by more than just a little bit. Yes, they do. Excuse me, and they graduate at a higher rate too. We have a little over 500 student athletes at the institution participating in 14 sports. And athletics is very important to our heritage. When we choose people to honor as distinguished alumni, and items like that, inevitably there's an athlete or two in that group of 4 or 5. They mean a lot to us.
So, as the world changes, who brought in? You've got a lot of really unusual master's and bachelor's programs. I think you've got one in forensic science.
Oh, yes, we do.
Where
Yeah.
the student has its own cadaver.
Well, yes,
Yeah.
Yes, we have a cadaver lab, and it's well stocked, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and also applied arts and science.
Yes.
Yeah. So who is creating these programs, and because they're really unique?
Well, we try to identify the need that either our state or region has, and we try to fill it. I mean, we need more forensic science out there. There's stories about how the labs are backed up with being able to do the job they wanted to do. Well, we're providing for forensic scientists for them. The Bachelor of Applied Arts and Sciences is aimed at students that have a 2-year degree in a vocational or technical area, but they want a bachelor's degree. They can fold that degree directly into this bachelor's degree, and within 2 years have a bachelor's degree that many of them didn't think it was possible because of the path they had taken in vocational technical education. It's very popular and really meets a need that the state has.
Well, we're speaking today with President of Eastern New Mexico University, Dr. Stephen Gamble. Thank you for joining us. You are making a change now after 16 years.
Oh,
I think
yes, ma'am,
you're
I
going to
am.
step down, and
1st of August.
Yeah, but who's counting?
No, well,
So they're having a search,
yes, ma'am.
and will you have anything to do with that, or you're just going to let the regents and?
Only if they invite me in for some advice or just to get my opinion on something. I really don't think an outgoing president should select his successor. But they're down to 10 semifinalists now, and I don't doubt that they will come up with somebody that'll hopefully be better than I am. That's my goal for them.
As you look back, what are some of your favorite projects that you got involved in that you've been able to see through fruition?
Well, it's been nice to watch the campus take better form, I think, through innovation. But the things I'll always remember about being president and dealing with the students. My 2 favorite days are one, the start of a semester when the new freshmen come in. I get to meet them. I get to meet their parents. I'm outside the residence hall handing out my business cards to the parents, and they use them. They'll call me if their son or daughter encounters something. That's just a good day for me. And the day they graduate, that is they're reaching a goal they've set for themselves, one that I have set for them as well as the university's faculty and staff. And that's just a wonderful time for me.
I know many of the graduates, and
I'm sure you do.
Yeah,
they're everywhere.
and they have the most wonderful stories about their life. I think one thing I want to touch on is you do have an international outreach, but before you explain that, your campus is so lovely and compact, and it's such a harmonious place. I mean, it really is kind of an ideal campus. And so, what international outreach do you have? I know you had a Chinese component for some time.
We still do. We have probably about 120, I would guess, international students. The reason we have the students is we want our own students, the native students, those that are New Mexican, to have interactions with people that are different than they are, from different cultures. Because when they leave us, they're going to be entering a world of work which is truly global, truly international, and we want them to have had some contact. And the international students we get are just delightful people. We still have, I think, Chinese are the largest number that we have. But we're not trying to just grow a lot in terms of international students. I mean, it's the taxpayers of New Mexico who sponsor our university. That's what we're there for. We're there to take care of the eastern part of the state, too, hence our name, Eastern New Mexico University. But to really take care of our students as best we can, they do need to interact with people who are different than they are.
Yeah.
That's important to us.
Yeah. So we're filming today in the Capitol, and there have been a lot of changes in the funding that's available for higher ed. You've had some big, you've had to take a lot of hits, a
Yes,
lot
ma'am,
of
we
cuts,
have.
higher ed across the board. How are you able to accommodate that? I mean, what's so hard, as I look at it, is that the university will have long-term goals, 10-year plans, 20-year plans, and you can't go slicing off 8% off the top of that and still get where you need to go with these long-term plans.
Well, you have to adjust to the circumstances. But the first thing I'll say is that any time that the state has a budget problem or a budget crisis, we know higher ed's got to be part of the solution. I mean, we understand that. We prosper during good times, and in bad times we share a fair amount of the portion of the pain. But we managed to do it well, I believe, without just going back to the students and their families and saying, hey, we're going to charge you a whole lot more tuition and fees. We don't do that. In fact, the other schools in the state don't do it either. I think everybody, all 4-year and 2-year institutions, are very sensitive to the fact that, it goes back to my previous statement, we don't serve an affluent clientele. We serve people that got a lot of ability, a lot of ambition, a lot of potential, but not a lot of resources and money. So we cut where we have to. This time we're cutting through attrition. No one's going to lose a job, but we're probably going to cut somewhere around 30 positions from the institution. But we will do them as they become vacant. We'll shift people around, but that's about all we can do at this point to come up with a balanced budget for the institution.
So you talk about a clientele or students that are not exactly flush. And so how much does the lottery scholarship and the success of the lottery scholarship, I know they're looking at making some changes to it, but how does that impact your student body?
It impacts every institution greatly. Right, for the year we were in, the average was somewhere around 90 to 95% of tuition, not tuition and fees, but tuition was paid to students who were eligible for the lottery, and they could draw that up through their senior year. They're talking about if there's not an additional revenue source found, about 70% of the tuition would now be covered. That's quite a drop. We're hoping that they do find a revenue source that would continue to fund it somewhere in the 90s. There's a lot of students that wouldn't have come to college, and a lot wouldn't have stayed in college if it weren't for the lottery. That's one of the most generous things I've ever seen a state do for its students.
I know it was former Senator Michael Sanchez had really pushed to get that.
And he was known as the father of the lottery, and we are eternally grateful to him.
Yeah, and I hope that every student, as they come through, realizes, because when you're just starting out and you're faced with these huge expenses, including the books, including dorms and all that, every little bit helps.
Oh, and that was more than a little bit. That was really a significant amount for our students.
Yeah. You have some outreach not only internationally and for the east side, but haven't you made an arrangement with neighboring states if they're a certain distance away from you?
Well, there is something called the 135 rule that if someone from Texas or Arizona is within 135 miles of a 4-year campus, they can come and pay the in-state tuition. So we reach out to Amarillo and Lubbock, Western and New Mexico State reach out to El Paso. Yes, but the states are reciprocal with us too. In other words, they do the same thing for New Mexicans who would like to go to some of the Texas schools.
Good. Well, so I love to go there, and again, the campus is so beautiful. One of the things you have on your website is a map of the trees.
Oh, yes.
You have, and they're beautiful trees, and they're old.
That is true.
Yeah.
Well, in our part of the state, we value each and every tree.
Yeah, right.
I will promise you that.
Especially with the winds that we get.
We do, yeah.
Yeah. As you look back, then, what do you want people to know about Eastern? I mean, I could read all of those, number 1 in this and, top 5 in that.
Well, actually, that they can come there and get a very good education that can change their life. I mean, when we hire faculty, we try to hire good people first. And in other words, we want them to be the type of faculty that wants to be in the classroom, that's current in his or her field, and that embraces, the mission of the institution. Our mission is very simply to provide the best educational experience we can to the students that come to us. We haven't branched off for that in the 16 years I've been there, and Everett Frost before me and Bob Matheny, they embrace that as well. That's what I want them to know. We talk about student success. That's our goal for each and every student. We talk about the personal touch. That's how we try to employ the personal touch that is going to affect our students in such a positive way. But again, at our institution, the thing I'm proudest of, along with the students, is our faculty and staff.
Actually, from all the students that I've known from Eastern, they speak so fondly about their very close relationships with their professors.
Absolutely.
It's really a kind of almost family relationship, and they're encouraged. They're never, don't call me, it's not office hours. They're kind of always there for the students.
No. We have faculty that will call them on their cell phone and say, "You've missed my class twice or 3 times.
Yeah.
Is there anything wrong?" And I generally tell the students, lie to them. Tell them, yeah, there's something wrong. Just don't say you blew off the course. That's not going to set well with them at all. But we just honestly care about our students. I'm sure that's played out at other schools too, but we just really make that as kind of a hallmark of our school.
You have some events coming up. I talked about the Williamson Lectureship in April. Right. What else do you have coming up between now and the rest of your tenure?
I will say we just finished Pirates of Pinellas, the Gilbert and Sullivan musical comedy that was just wonderful, just absolutely wonderful. So that's immediately behind us. Sunday was the last there. We have a number of other events involving the awarding of scholarships, which we make that a formal affair. We have other musical, artistic, theater events that are happening. But I'll tell you, the most important thing that happens on our campus happens every day, and that's just what goes on in the classroom to again provide that education I was talking about to change people's lives. That's year in, year out, day in, day out. That's what we do best.
I want to go back to the online opportunities, so people can get an advanced degree completely online.
Oh, yes.
So what kind of numbers are we talking about? What about how many students you have in these online programs?
I'm guessing we probably have about 1,200. We have a total enrollment of a little over 6,000 people on the Portales branch. Now we have 2 excellent campuses, also the Roswell, ENMU Roswell and ENMU Ruidoso. Both are staffed with good people and doing a good job for their communities. But in our case, the online segment of our education is really where our growth has been lately. It hasn't been in the face-to-face freshmen. One of the reasons is our residence halls are full. Every fall semester, we fill up every bed in our residence hall. So if we're going to grow, we've got to look at off-campus opportunities. Now, we don't go out and start up study centers or things like that, educational centers in various towns. But what we do is we'll go into a place like Raton even and tell them that, hey, we are willing to come in and offer online courses to your people. Send a counselor up there to talk with them about their degree progress and what they need to take, and provide whatever support they need to be successful.
Well, I want to mention, and we'll put this, that the website for Eastern New Mexico University is www.enmu.edu. It's very easy to navigate,
Well,
and you can look at graduate programs, you can look at residence programs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The regents have done a really good job, and I know that you recently lost a much beloved regent.
Yes, Ms. Susan Tatum, just a wonderful person and an excellent regent. Just tragic.
I remember speaking with her at one of your events up here. Just wonderful.
Well, the governor has consistently given us good people to be regents, and we're confident that she will appoint a good person to replace Ms. Tatum.
Yeah, it's just hard to make the change. It's
It's just sad to make this change, yes, ma'am.
and it's going to be sad for some people who have only known you, who've only been at the Eastern while you've been president.
Well, that'd be a lot of them. 16 years.
Yeah,
A lot of people.
right.
And, we graduate over 1,000 students a year, and so that is a lot of students out there.
So what will you do after August when you step down?
I tell people this, and they think I'm joking, but I'm not. I'm just going to grow old gracefully. I'm going to stay in Portales. I like small towns. I like small town people, small town churches. My dad lives with me. He's 96, and he's very comfortable in Portales. So, I'll be involved. The state's got that quarter-time retirement where you can work 10 hours a week. I'm going to do that for a year. I just nervous about going from working however much I work now, maybe 50 hours, whatever it is, a week to nothing. I just don't think that's even healthy. So I'm going to stay on for a short period of time in that 10-hour-a-week capacity.
Well, I know that we're filming during the legislative session, so you have all your presidential responsibilities in Portales, and yet you come up here to work for the university, to build bridges, to talk to lawmakers.
It's part of the job, yes, ma'am.
Yes, but and then there's the commute back and forth. So I'm just happy that we got you while you're up here.
I was flattered to be asked.
And I wish you all the best, and thank you for everything you've done for Eastern New Mexico University and for that part of the state.
The one thing I'll admit to is that I hired really good people,
Yeah.
and they've done really good work.
Well, I thank you very much. Our guest today is Dr. Stephen Gamble, who will soon be stepping down in August as president of Eastern New Mexico University. Thank you.
Thanks, Lorraine.
And I'm Lorraine Mills. I'd like to thank you, our audience, for being with us today on Report from Santa Fe. We'll see you next week.
Past archival programs of Report from Santa Fe are available at the website reportfromsantafe.com. If you have questions or comments, please email info@reportfromsantafe.com. Report from Santa Fe is made possible in part by grants from the members of the National Education Association of New Mexico, an organization of professionals who believe that investing in public education is an investment in our state's economic future, and by a grant from the Healy Foundation, Taos, New Mexico.